Hi everyone, my name is Nizam Adli from Propnex Reality Private Limited. Welcome to our YouTube channel, Nizam SGReal Estate Strategist. Okay, this video is basically a analysis of the current HDB market. Of course, let me emphasize for a fact that the numbers are not official yet. We are on as I record this video, it is on the second day of September. So the official numbers rather are not out. But based on some analysis tools that we have, we are able to churn out the unofficial numbers of HDB transaction for the month of August, which is just a couple of days ago. So as promised, I think I want to give my point of view as a real estate salesperson who has done quite a number of HDB transactions for the past so many years. And I feel it's important that we, or you as a consumer, or HDB owners for that matter, understand how HDB market works and where is the trend heading, and what are the factors that affect pricing, volume of transaction, and so on and so forth. I'm not an expert. I'm just giving my point of view based on my own research, as well as my company's research statistics that are made available to all PropNet salespersons. So it is my own analysis of how the HDB market going to pan out in the next couple of months. So without further ado, let me start my share. Right. So yes, it's analysis of HDB market trends for August 2020. Right. Now, again, as a disclaimer, I just want to be sure, that don't take my word for as gospel. Make sure that you do your own research, especially affordability and all that. But what I'm trying to do today is just to give you an overview of how HDB market has panned out for the last 3 months, as well as probably the upcoming 3 months towards the end of 2020. Right. Here, I just want to show you the trends of HDB volume of transaction as well as pricing for the whole of Singapore. So this chart, if you can see my cursor, it shows all HDB town, resale market, and over the period of January to July or to August this year. So as you can see, of course, March, April, May period where we had the lockdown, so volume has drastically went down. At the same time, of course, price as well. But past 3 months, we look at July, May, or rather June. About 2,000 to 2,003 units were transacted. Similarly, in July, about close to 2,003. And early numbers for August is also close to previous numbers in terms of volume. But one thing you can see, the price of HDB has inched up a bit. This is overall HDB pricing for the whole of Singapore. Now, let me delve into a bit more detail. This is, let's take Woodlands. Woodlands has been quite a popular estate for the past 3 months, to be honest, because I've done quite a number of transactions in Woodlands past 3 months. Right. Similar trend, as you can see, for the whole of Woodlands in the past 3 months, volume were also quite high relative to previous months, of course. Yes. And again, this is during the pandemic, during the circuit breaker. So of course, volume was affected quite drastically, but it jumped quite a significant amount in the subsequent months from June, July, and August. At the same time, in Woodlands, price seems to have inched a little higher than the average in Singapore. This is just based on this analysis. Now, let's look at 4-room flat in Woodlands. Right, 4-room flat in Woodlands, as you can see, volume is steady, very good, but price has also went up quite significant and probably has stabilized to a certain extent. But there are occasions where people are, or rather consumers are paying cash over valuation. Let me go through that part a little later. Let me just run through you the statistics first. Now, how about 5-room in Woodlands? Similar trend. Can you see similar trends? Volume is very healthy, price is inching up, and whether it's sustainable or not, let us discuss in shortly. Now, all right, since we have talked about Woodlands in the north, let's move on to probably one of the more popular estates in Singapore, the most sought after estate at one point of time. All right, so let's look at overall resale prices and volume in Punggol. Right, similar trend, strong transactions. At the same time, price also has inched up a bit, which is not too bad for the whole of Punggol, knowing for a fact that there's a lot of supply in terms of newly MOP blocks. Yeah, right. How about the forum in Punggol? Yeah, so you can see similar trends, price also inching up a little bit. Valuation at one point of time, I mean, past 2 months, yes, from June, July, I believe when I do a lot of transaction, especially in Punggol, the valuation of matches the selling price, which in that sense, do not have any cash overvaluation for buyers. So, but moving forward, I've seen some trends. I've seen, especially disclaimer, not all estate, certain estate. I've seen even for my own transaction, quite recent, couple of days back. I mean, even yesterday, when I got the valuation report for the unit that I was marketing, it was 35,000 above valuation. Can you imagine? So it's really something that is quite significant when it comes to HDB market, because we have not seen the number of COV for typical units for a long time. I mean, there are COVs once in a while here and there which I transact, but last month when I checked with my fellow real estate salesperson, yes, the cash overvaluation has come back to a certain extent. Of course, not in leaps and bounds, but certain, probably minimally a 5,000 COV. But for my case, it was a 35,000 COV. So we need to adjust accordingly because of the fact that later I share with you why this trend at certain estates are beginning to be seen, because it's not really something that you can predict, but because of this pandemic, there is the after effect or short-term effect of the pandemic that has caused, probably in my opinion, the COV in certain estate. Why? Let's discuss further. Right now, we've talked about Punggol 4-room. How about Punggol 5-room? Right, Punggol 5-room volume has volume peak in July, but in August it went down quite a bit, a fair bit, and at the same time, price has stabilized, in my opinion. You can see the downward trend of the pricing. So probably, in my own personal opinion, the 5-room flat in Punggol would have stabilized, have tapered down, and prices would be more of a within the range of valuation. It's just my opinion. Now, let's move to the west side of Singapore, Jurong East. I took up this analysis on Jurong East numbers, the whole of Jurong East resale, regardless of type of units. So volume increase, that one I think we've seen volume increase in almost all sectors or almost all estates in Singapore. But look at Jurong East, prices has not really moved that much. And if you see pre-pandemic, prices are hovering around quite, I believe the prices now are similar to pre-pandemic, which is before circuit breaker. There was a bit of a bump in just before circuit breaker, but when market rebounded in terms of volume, prices still remain stable as before circuit breaker. Now, let's see. 4-room, yeah. 4-room flat in Jurong East volume is quite similar to pre-circuit breaker, and prices are also quite similar. So you can see different trends where the market is heading in terms of different estates. So this is important for you to understand, especially HDB owners out there, how prices are panning out where your estates or your type of units are concerned. Now, moving forward, 5-room flat in Jurong East, volume still strong, but price has also tapered. Price has stabilized, in my opinion. Right now, let's move back to the east side. Before I move to the east, I think important that we understand, different estates attractions are quite different. I mean, Singapore is no doubt small, but the attraction or the attractiveness of certain estate probably outweighs others. So importantly, probably where, let's say, for example, the west side. So people who generally work in Tuas, in Jurong Island, or in towards the southern waterfront or southern part of Singapore tend to stay in the western part of Singapore. But of course, this is just my opinion. But depending, of course, there are also attributes like age of the property, how many BTOs surrounding the location, is there rejuvenation, are there transformation, that kind of stuff. So important to, when you are as a HDB owner, when you have plans to upgrade or right size, or to sell HDB for that matter, you must not only look at it from a price perspective. Of course, important price perspective, your financial standing, how much CPF you have used, all are very important. But look at the surrounding. Is your estate within your blocks, are there rejuvenation, are there transformation, or is it just like any other estate? So important to not miss the bandwagon when it comes to ensuring that your CPF works harder for you when it comes to HDB lah. All right, this is just part of my share. Why am I sharing with you? This is because a lot of the HDB owners that I've sat down with, have too much sentiments in the house, and they forget that the element of CPF is no doubt have given us the opportunity to own homes. But if we do not have the right knowledge on how to manage the CPF monies, especially for housing, it might just come back to bite us when it comes to retirement. This is what I feel. This is what I always share with many of my HDB owners that I talk to. Of course, this is a topic I want to talk, a bit more sensitive, but I will leave it for subsequent series. Now, coming back to Tampines, yes. If you can see, Tampines, in terms of, this is a whole of Tampines, regardless of type of flat. So volume, yeah, we've seen in most estate volume increase, but at the same time, price also quite stable, in my opinion. From here, it shows quite a straight line. Quite, it doesn't move. The movement is not as much. Now, let's delve into probably a 4-room flat in Tampines, right? 4-room flat in Tampines, volume again. Let's not talk about volume. I think volume is given, has increased, but price has shoot up quite a bit month on month from July to August. Well, probably there were a bit more demand, if you can see, where Tampines 4-room is concerned, slightly more transaction in August compared to July, and prices have moved quite a fair bit. All right. Now, 5-room in Tampines, no doubt volume has increased month to month since June, but price has not followed in tandem. So based on average pricing for a 5-room flat in Tampines, price has somehow tapered down and back to pre-pandemic levels, right? So to me, 5-room flat in Tampines are likely to be price correct, and that's the reason why volume has somehow remained stable. Of course, during CB, it has reduced drastically. But in general, the volume has kind of stable in terms of transaction for Tampines 5-room flat. Now, right. So, what was the trend? Okay, hang on. Yeah, let me just bring myself up here. Yeah. What was the uptrend and increase in volume of transaction for last? Why was the uptrend? Sorry, why was there an uptrend when it comes to the volume of transaction for the last 3 months? So, I mean, like I said, this is my opinion based on how I see the market from the ground. I may be wrong, but I think this is one of the reason why I'm able to advise my clients on what is the best course of action when it comes to their HDB. Now, my take is, of course, pent-up demand. If you see from the volume of transaction during CB, it was way below normal condition. So a lot of people took a wait and see approach. And at the same time, of course, when you are stuck at home, you tend to do a lot more research, a lot more analysis, in my opinion, so that whether you're going to be ready or not, you are able to know yourself. So there was a pent-up demand. People wanted to, but was afraid, not sure what's the situation going to be. Agents also a bit taken aback because we cannot do viewing. How are we going to adapt to the new way of doing business? Our sellers and buyers up front with virtual viewing, Zoom viewing and whatever, without even going to view the unit physically. So it's quite a new stuff, a new thing for most of us, or in fact all of us. So people just took a wait and see approach. So there was pent-up demand. But when things were more stable, people, or rather buyers and sellers that have the needs to move or needs to upgrade, needs to downgrade for that matter, have no choice but to go into the market. So it's a needs basis. The pent-up demand was more of a needs basis rather than something more than that, right? Now, secondly, of course, during the circuit breaker, there was no BTO launch. So people who wanted homes and all that were in desperation, if I may use the word, because they're not sure what is going to happen. Yeah, is HDB going to launch any BTO during 2020? Are they going to be stuck with not able to buy a BTO in the next few years, kind of stuff. So it was also those who really, like I said, a needs basis to go and buy and to go into the market, into the resale market to buy HDB. Now, and one thing I must emphasize here was it took a while. It really took a while for the market to understand, or rather the consumers as well as the agents to understand that there is a way to transact property transaction using virtual viewing and transaction. So even the stakeholders, like the lawyers, HDBs and all that, facilitated the process of virtual signatures or e-signatures and all that. So it creates more confidence into the market, especially those who really in need of a place to stay or in need to downgrade because of many reasons, and it gives the fairly confident in the market needed. And that's why we see from June onwards, when we enter phase 2, the volume of transactions suddenly surge because of the fact that people are still wary about physical viewing. So in my own personal capacity, yes, I've facilitated over circuit breaker and phase 2 quite, I think, more than 10 transactions through virtual viewing, and without even my seller or my buyer, without even the buyer coming to view my unit or my seller viewing the unit that they want to buy. So all through Zoom. And consumers are also adopting this new norm because they are ready in a way that they believe that this is the way to go, and that's how successful virtual viewing Of course, not every consumer are comfortable, but like I said, based on my first point there, the needs basis. So really, it's about needs, not about what they want. So that's why the demand of HDB or transaction volume of HDB went up. Now, right, and of course, one good thing is valuation match the selling price. Of course, valuers were also not able to do physical valuation, and based on transaction prices, past months transaction prices, they were able to match the selling price or the closing price of HDB units sold during circuit breaker. I've correct me if I'm wrong, but my fellow agents out there, I've not heard any COV being paid during circuit breaker transaction, but maybe I'm wrong. But these are just from my point of view, being on the field, on the ground, so that I can give you this analysis, right? Right. So yeah, interestingly, last month also there were HDB launch 7,800 BTO. So HDB needed to act fast to ensure that the confidence of the people are met, because of the fact that there are consumers out there definitely looking at BTO. And of course, with more BTOs, I believe it helps to mitigate the increase in price of the resale market. So let me be frank here. Why a lot of transactions, like I said, in the last 3 months, was because there was no BTO launch, because people there was lack of confidence that HDB will launch BTO in the near future because of construction delays and all that. But that's the reason, in my opinion, the resale market and the volume actually went up quite a fair bit. Now, with HDB launching the first BTO launch post circuit breaker, they launched 7,800 units. So if you can see, I'm not sure whether you can see, the number of units offered was about 6,000 plus. This is for the 3-room and above. Okay, we don't talk about 2-room flat, but 3-room and above, 6,041 units were launched. You see the number of subscribers, it is 36,436. So wow, it is overall, it's 6 times oversubscribed, right? So you can see that there's a lot of pent-up demand when it comes to HDB housing, right? Okay. So what to expect in the next 3 months, right? Based on my analysis, based on my personal opinion, these are the points that I feel expected market trends in the next 3 months for HDB housing. Now, I believe transaction volume will ease. Those who really had to buy and sell would have probably completed their transaction. Similarly, now is more of those who want to buy. So basically, they have time on their hand, or they want to test the market. They want to look at what they can buy, whether their own HDB can sell at a good price, kind of thing. Because of what they heard from previous months, volume increase. When you see, past few months, most listing when you put on the market within 1 week is sold or less. That's the amazing part about the last 3 months. But I believe moving forward in the next 3 months to the end of the year, volume will ease a bit, because I think, just my opinion, people who need to buy would already have completed their transaction. Now, price correction due to valuation, as more and more units have COV, slowly but surely price will correct. Because give you a scenario, if let's say take my case, for example, if my owners who based on valuation, their flat is valued, there's a cash over valuation of 35,000. So if they don't take this transaction, highly likely that they will not be able to achieve the same amount of price in the next couple of months because of the fact that the price would have corrected by then, because valuation is something that is important when it comes to HDB market. So when more consumers are not willing to pay COV, which I think is something that would be happening the next couple of months, then you can see that price correction will take place due to valuation. Now, right. And at the same time, potential sellers might manage expectation, especially if they need to collect keys from the BTO or ECs, because now a lot of delay in terms of key collection for ready BTOs. So once the HDB ramp up the key collection, likely the chances are owners would be, or potential sellers would be more realistic, if I may say so, in terms of pricing their unit, because of the fact that they need to collect keys for their BTO or EC. Right. Okay. Why price trend outward not feasible? This is again my opinion. Very important for HDB loan. No matter how high your salary is or within the range, you are affected by this 30% MSR, mortgage servicing ratio. So to put it shortly, HDB or the banks will only assess 30% of your income to grant you the loan for HDB. No doubt, if you talk about private property, the loan will be assessed based on 60% of your income. So there's a lot of this factor. This MSR has somehow dampened the pricing of HDB because of the fact that there are a lot more cash and CPF needed to buy HDB if price move too fast upwards. Right. Okay. Valuation might not match selling price, the COV. Like I said earlier, more and more COVs, people are not willing to pay. Price correction due to valuation, and then owners or sellers will manage their expectation. So these are things that I believe will happen in the next couple of months. Right. Similarly, this is just a reiteration of the point. Put sellers manage expectation because they need to collect keys from their BTO. Right. So again, buyers that need to buy would have bought by then. So the transaction would have completed. Right. So what would you? Let me come back to the point. If let's say, Nizam, so it's not a good time for me to sell. Well, you must understand HDB is not a investment vehicle or a money making investment or asset. No, I think you must understand the fundamentals of HDB ownership or HDB ownership for that matter. But what you should do if you plan to sell your HDB, right? I think these are just tips or pointers because so that you understand the real reason behind you needing to upgrade or downgrade or right size, or even looking at buying a private property. Right now, so what should you do if you plan to sell your HDB? Very important. A lot of people fail to take this step. They go and view houses and all that kind of stuff, but it's really about applying HLA or IPA from the bank to gauge affordability, right? If you go out shopping to buy a HDB or private property for that matter, you don't know what is your level of affordability in terms of loan, I think is not a wise move. So whether you're buying HDB or private property for that matter, apply HLA or in principle from the bank to gauge your affordability. Right. If you're buying HDB, of course, check on grant eligibility. If you're a first timer, yes, there's 3 components of grant: first timer grant, enhanced grant, as well as proximity grant. For those second timer or third timer, fourth timer for that matter, you are still eligible for grant. The only grant you're eligible is proximity housing grant. Either you stay within 4 kilometers of your parents or your married children. One thing, they must own the property and not rent from the open market or from HDB. So important, right? So if you bought BTO, check your MOP as well as those blocks within your cluster. Sorry about the spelling mistake there. So important. Why I'm saying this: if you bought the BTO from HDB direct, ensure that do check when is your exact MOP. Is there a need to appeal for early MOP so that you have a first mover advantage? And at the same time, look within your cluster, meaning, let's say you MOP in December this year, but your cluster next door, the next series of BTO or neighboring blocks going to MOP in February 2021 example. So you need to understand, as more and more supply comes into the market, price will always be a bargaining chip. All right. So must understand the needs and needs analysis of why you need to take action. Now, of course, very important, talk to a professional on your current flat status and what are your options. And not only current flat status important, how much outstanding loan you still owe HDB, how much CPF plus interest have you used for the property, and what is your current OA balance, so that you understand what is your financial standing when it comes to your current HDB. And at the same time, if you've done your HLE or IPA, you would know how much you can loan. So that is important in terms of especially for me, to give the right advice, to give the right options to potential clients, so that you know what are your options. It's not just based on hearsay, it's based on details, documentation, details, numbers, as well as analysis of the market and estate you have in mind. So these are important, very important to talk to a professional, right? So I've come to end of my end of my presentation. I hope I've given a bit of clarity. So if you need more information, you need to clarify, because every single case is different. So you must understand from that perspective. Not every HDB, not two HDB is the same when it comes to your status, your CPF and all that. So talk to a professional if you keen, or can always talk to me and my wife, Nizam. You can scan the QR code or find us in YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So let me leave this for a while so that you can take down my details if you need to, right? But like I said, these are just my opinion, because I've done this for more than 10 years. It comes to HDB, especially HDB upgraders, what you need to understand, how you need to react to the market, and how to see opportunities. So very important. And I hope to continue this series, not only for HDB. The next series probably I'll talk about private property in the trends, because every early of the month I want to talk about trends, and then we talk about opportunity. So I hope I've given you a bit more clarity, like I said, and hope to see you. Like and comment, share this video with your friends and family so that everyone can benefit. And if you have comments or feedback, I appreciate it. I definitely encourage it, and I really want to hear from you. So till my next video, Nizam Adli out. Bye.